Hello everybody, it's another Cook With Me video. Today I am going to be making black bean sauce noodles, basically known as Jjajangmyeon. Yes, I have an excited house today. So here it is, and I'm going to show you how we make it. And I like to add shrimp and mushroom to it. It's so good. So here we go. First, I'm going to marinate 1.5 pounds of jumbo shrimp. To it, I'll be adding 2 cloves of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of mirin. I'm also going to be adding 1/2 teaspoon of crushed minced ginger. And for a little bit of spice, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of Korean red pepper powder. You could also substitute this with Korean red pepper flakes. Now I'm going to add around 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You can add as much or as little as you like. And then I'm going to give this a good mix and allow it to marinate for at least 20 minutes. I'm just going to set it in the refrigerator until it's time to cook the shrimp. Be sure to check the description below the video for the ingredients and measurements used in this recipe. Okay, the vegetables I will be using today. Here I have 8 ounces of golden shiitake mushrooms. These have actually been sitting in my fridge for a couple of days, which is why they look a little dark and a tad bit wilted. But definitely you can use any mushroom of your choice. I'm also going to be using 1/2 of a sliced onion. It was around a medium-sized onion, 1 medium carrot cut into chunks, and 1 medium zucchini. And I had a leftover 1/4 of a cabbage that I needed to use, so I sliced that up. This is around 3 cups of sliced cabbage. This is optional, but I do feel that it makes a heartier black bean sauce. Okay, so now I'm going to saute my vegetables. I'm going to start by browning the mushrooms, and then I'm going to toss in the carrot and onion, and then the zucchini and cabbage last. Basically, I just want to saute those first, because if I cook the shrimp first, then it'll overcook. I'll be adding the shrimp last, and then we'll make the sauce. So I'm definitely working, this is around 12 to 13 inch skillet. This is the biggest or largest skillet that I have. So, yeah, use something large. If you guys have a really good wok, use that. I honestly, the wok I have is not big enough for all of this, and I want to make sure I get a good brown on the mushrooms. So here we go. Let me make sure this oil heats up. Sorry guys, Bo seems to be very vocal today. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my mushrooms. And actually, you don't have to use mushrooms. I just really want to make a hearty sauce with, you know, the shrimp and the mushrooms and the vegetables, so that's why I used it. But if you just have chicken or pork, or if you don't want to use meat at all, then opt for the mushrooms. But definitely, and the cabbage is also, you know, you don't have to use that. But I think just all kinds of veggies and meat just make it a heartier dish. So I'm going to continue sauteing these mushrooms for around 5 minutes, and I'll be right back. So I want to continue sauteing these mushrooms, and I am using like a medium-high heat. I want to get a good brown on them. And the mushroom that I'm using today is a golden shiitake mushroom. Baby Bella mushrooms work. Heck, if you want to use a button mushroom, that's fine. But this is 8 ounces of mushrooms. So let me just make some room on the outside here. I'm going to go ahead and toss in my carrots because the carrots take the longest to cook. So let's do that. And this is just 1 medium-sized carrot that I chopped into just, you know, bite-sized little chunks. Now I did get a good brown on these mushrooms, so I am going to add a pinch of salt to help break down the carrots. Typically you don't want to do that with mushrooms because it will release its moisture and kind of sog things up if you're trying to get a good brown on them, but I'm okay. So I do want these carrots to soften a bit before I add every other vegetable that I'm going to add. So I'm going to continue sauteing this for 3 to 5 more minutes just to let the carrots sort of get started with cooking, and I will be right back. Okay, so it's been around 5 minutes that I've been sauteing my carrots with the mushrooms. Everything has started to brown, so I'm going to push these a little off to the side, and now I'm going to go in with my onion and zucchini. I'm going to saute these for a couple of minutes. So into the pan, and I'm actually going to go ahead and add just a little pinch of salt, again to help things sort of soften and cook, get a head start on cooking. I'm going to let this go for another 3 to 5 minutes, and I will be right back. So this has been sauteing for another 3 minutes or so. It has a good head start. So now I'm going to do my cabbage. And again, I'm trying to do the best I can to keep this in one pan. And this was just, like I said, a small little quarter of a small cabbage that was going bad. So I just trimmed off the dark pieces and basically sliced up the rest. If I had to guess, this is probably around 2 to 3 cups of just sliced fresh cabbage. Again, you don't have to use it if you don't want, but I do like to use what I have left over in my fridge. So I had this small little sad quarter of a cabbage that needed to be used. And a little pinch of salt to this to help saute and wilt it down a bit. And this is pretty much done. What I'm going to do is continue sauteing this for another couple minutes, just to allow the cabbage to get some browning and cook out a bit. And then I'm going to remove all these veggies from the pan and saute the shrimp. My goodness, it smells so good in here. So at this point, everything is pretty much sauteed, has a head start on cooking because it is going to simmer in that black sauce just, for about 5 minutes or so. So I think this cabbage, it still has some bite to it. Actually, as you can see, this piece is a bit of the root. I'm going to toss that out. That will not cook down. That'll stay hard. So I'm going to remove this from the skillet, and I will be right back when we're ready to saute the shrimp. Let me clear this out. Okay, so I'm back. I've cleared the veggies out. I have them sitting over here on the side. So now I'm going to saute my shrimp. And I will be putting a tablespoon or so of oil to the pan. I didn't even clean out the pan. That's what I do when I'm trying to really stick to one pan. But if you want to use a new pan, go right ahead. So here's my marinated shrimp that I marinated with things like ginger, garlic, mirin, and a little bit of salt and this little spicy red Korean pepper powder. It's just to give it a kick. Here we go, right in the pan. For the shrimp, I'm using a fairly high heat because I don't really want it to, I do want it to saute and get, some browning and not just sit there and slowly cook because it'll get rubbery. So you want to work with a fairly high heat when sauteing shrimp. So this will probably be done in around 5 minutes. Shrimp cooks really quick, so I will be back when I'm flipping it over. Okay, so I flipped the shrimp over. I'm going to cook it for another minute or so. This is pretty much almost done. A shrimp cooks really fast and you don't want to overcook it. Once I'm done cooking this, I'm going to remove the shrimp from the pan. We're going to start on the sauce and then add everything back in, and that's what's going on top of our noodles, just like that. By the way, you could also season your shrimp however you like. Okay, so let's go over how I'm making the sauce. Here I have roasted black bean paste. You don't have to get the roasted, but this is basically already cooked. This is not like the I don't know the term, raw fermented black bean paste where you actually have to fry it and cook it first. This is already done. Let me show you the brand that I'm using. So this is what I'm using today. There we go. So roasted black bean paste, but it's pretty much ready to use. Here we go. And I'm also going to be adding, so here I have 7 tablespoons of black bean paste, roasted black bean paste. I'm using 2 tablespoons of sugar, 16 ounces of low sodium chicken broth, and a 1/3 cup of cold water with a tablespoon and a half of cornstarch mixed into it. This is pretty much what I'm doing for the sauce. You can change the ratio of sugar to black bean paste to stock, but I find this just works for me. But again, if you want it less salty or less sweet, adjust the ratios of these two. Okay, so let's get going with our black bean sauce. So I'm using the same pan with all that flavor of the sauteed veggies and shrimp. I'm going to add just a little bit of oil. Not really a lot. Again, I don't really have to fry this, but I do want to work in the sugar and the black bean sauce. So there's that. Right into this pan, my black bean paste here. Get this moving. And as you can see, there's lots of shrimp fond and veggie fond on the bottom of this pan. So I'm going to just kind of move this around in the pan. Sugar's going to go right into this and mix that up. It smells so good in here. And I'm not trying to caramelize the sugar. As a matter of fact, I probably should have mixed it in the bowl, but that's what happens when you're just trying to get things done. Okay, so this is pretty well mixed. As you can see, it's not very stiff. So now right into this pan, I am going to pour, whoops. Okay, so now I'm going to pour in the stock. You can hear it didn't really sizzle. I don't have it like flaming high, but I do want to work in the stock and this paste. And this is pretty much the start of my black bean sauce. I'm going to mix everything together in the pan, get it mixed, and once it starts to simmer, I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients, and that is it. I will be right back. Okay, so this is already at a low simmer. So I am going to add my vegetables right back in here. So right now everything is just combined, but it's not that thick sauce that you look for when you're making jjajangmyeon. So what I'm going to do is now add the cornstarch. By the way, let me show you over here. Over here I have my pot of boiling water. I'm going to crank that up, and I have some fresh noodles. I'm going to make noodles for 2 people. Definitely the amount of sauce I'm making is good for around 3 to 4 modest portions, but definitely 2 big portions. But let me get this going, and I'm going to boil my fresh noodles for around 3 to 4 minutes. The noodles that I'm using today, I bought at my local H Mart, and let me show you the brand that I'm using. Okay, so this is a 2.2 pound, 1 kilogram amount of fresh noodles. It says it makes 5 servings, and it comes rolled in these 4 little bunches. I'm making 2. One for Dax, one for my husband, and the rest of the bean paste and shrimp I'll save for another day, and they can probably make 1 more serving. I think what I'm making today easily can make, like I said, 3 to 4 servings. But I'm only going to do 2 pasta servings today, and whatever remains I will save in the refrigerator. Okay, so now my veggies and sauce is simmering, so this is a good time to add the cornstarch water mixture. And it won't take very long for it to thicken. I can already feel. So I'm going to turn the heat off. And as it sits here, it'll simmer just slightly. I don't want it to get overly thick. But if it does get too thick, you can add more chicken broth. But as you can see, it has totally thickened. Look at that. So I'm going to let this sit here. I'm not even going to add the shrimp yet because I want to cook the noodles. If I add the shrimp, I just don't want it to overcook. But I'll mix that in towards the end when I'm serving the noodles. But look at this. Already it just, it's going to be so good. Okay, I'm going to boil my noodles for 3, I think it packaged at 3 to 6. I'm going for 3 to 5. And then I'll show you how I serve this. Basically, this sauce is done. I'm going to add the shrimp at the last minute, mix it, let it sit there for about a minute, and it's ready to serve. So I'll be right back. Okay, so my noodles are boiling, and now I'm adding the shrimp, and I turned it back on just to let everything simmer for about a minute again, and this is going right on top of my noodles. And if you wanted to make those fire black bean noodles, you could definitely add around 2 teaspoons or maybe 1 extra teaspoon of that Korean red pepper powder. That will definitely make this a spicy dish for those of you that like spice. Okay, so I'm gonna finish simmering this off for about a minute, and I'm serving it right on top of my cooked noodles. I'll show you how I finish it. Okay, so here are my cooked noodles, and now I'm going to top it with the sauce. Depending how saucy you like your noodles will also determine how many servings you get out of this sauce. Definitely, if you like it extra saucy, then you can comfortably get 3 servings. Now, for thumbnail purposes, I'm not using a lot of sauce. I want to show a contrast between the sauce and noodles, but my husband's probably going to add more sauce off camera. So here is what I like to do. Just for garnish, just finish it with some spring, or actually this is scallions, not spring onions, scallions. My kid's excited. And a shake of some sesame seeds right on top. Looks mixed. As you can see, it looks so good. Okay, everybody, so that was my Cook With Me video. I hope you guys give this recipe a try, and I don't know, tell me what you think. This, it's kind of hard when you're filming a Cook With Me video, but when I'm not filming, I find it fairly easy to make. It's not very difficult to make, especially with that already made black bean paste that you really don't have to cook out or anything like that. And again, feel free to change the ratio of sugar to bean paste if you want it a little sweeter. If you want it spicy, add some of that Korean red pepper powder. That really will give you that heat that you want from a spicy black bean noodle. And as far as the noodles go, use what you have. I think fresh noodles are the way to go. I bought them at my local H Mart, but use what you have, which is what I always say. So I will see you in the next video. Have a good day. I hope you guys give it a try. Bye.